You guys, I have been trying to upload a video to YouTube for the past 4 days, and I'm going to keep this one as short and dense as possible and give you all the information I feel I need to. It's not going to be as relaxed as the other videos that I've done, and yes, I do have a new setup at home, which is wonderful. So I'm going to give you the information as quickly as I can to keep the file size short to see if that makes a difference. You guys know I do my new moon videos after the new moon, but this is later than I usually do it, and I apologize for that. It's just been the most bizarre. If anyone else has been having kind of Mercury retrograde things happen, even though it isn't Mercury retrograde, let me know in the comments. I know of at least a couple of other people who are just bewildered by some of the technology snafus, or feeling like you've lost something and actually losing something and finding it just kind of weird crap happening over the past 3 or 4 days. Irrespective. Mercury's not retrograde anymore. Irrespective. New Moon in Pisces yesterday, March the 13th, 2:21 a.m. Pacific time. Not that long ago, yesterday, okay? Planets have been in Pisces for 3 odd weeks or so, specifically the Sun and Venus. And Mercury comes in here on March the 16th. So some of what you're going to be contending with and dealing with in this new moon cycle that takes you to April the 11th, 28 days after March the 13th, that entire span, has already been set up for you over the past 3 weeks, but there are flies in the ointment. In other words, the intimations of the last 3 weeks peaked last week, the week before the new moon, into a state, I would imagine, of anxiety for a lot of people. And this new moon gives us the opportunity to deal with it. But as much as the publicity around this new moon as a new moon of healing is present, over present, I don't think it's necessarily quite that simple. Healing is certainly an aspect of it as possible, but there's a need to contend with the murkiness that it presents as well and take action as well. So, the week leading up to the new moon, last week, the video I did regarding it that I could not upload, I titled High Anxiety. The Sun conjuncted Neptune on the 11th, on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where you were. And then on the day of the new moon, a few hours after that, Venus conjuncted Neptune. Neptune is a planet that dissolves our connection to the 3D world and merges us with spirit, okay? It is a planet that is associated with renunciation, with intense spirituality, with inspiration, with the muses, with music, with letting go and surrendering, with, it has to be said, because it is a non-material planet, or a planet that dissolves and takes away material things on some level, it is also a planet associated in 2021 in Western astrology with a certain amount of deception, deceit, same word, sorry, loss, okay? Now, where Neptune is positive is, number one, in terms of intense spirituality, merging with the one. If you have chosen to join a monastery in the last week or 3 weeks, or have chosen to go into a secluded environment, or have chosen to become a Sufi poet, saint, and sit on a pavement and give everything up, bully for you. This is the transit for you. That's one of the most positive, kind of a love and a union with the divine, a heightened, almost, sensual connection with the divine, leaving aside human beings and humanity and kind of connecting solely with the divine. Very heightened spirituality. The second, more positive aspect of Neptune also has to do with creativity and inspiration. If you decide to paint or write a book or fantasy, a lot of people will connect Neptune to intuition. I really believe that is wrong. It's not intuition. I leave that to Uranus. It is inspiration. It is imagination. It is fantasy. It is dreaming. It is fiction in some regards. It is ideas. It is... if you're a painter or a sculptor or an actor or a singer, it is, when people say, I connected to this material, I connected to this song, I wanted to produce this, it came out of me, that kind of heightened connection to the mysterious way that something can pour through you, and you're also engaged with that creation, very Neptunian, again, merging with something beyond yourself. Now, if you have not been engaged in an audition or creating artistic work, or meditating or spacing out, or on a negative side, Neptune is associated, understandably, because it has a checking out quality with things like drugs and addiction. Then the challenge with Neptune and the high anxiety coming up to this new moon could be one where there's a feeling of deceit, deception, knife in the back, but a murky knife in the back. The two planets that can be associated with deceit, prankster, Mercury and Neptune. The difference is that with Mercury, your pocket can get picked, or there can be fraud in your bank account, but it's tangible. You can take tangible actions to correct things. With Neptune, it's all very smoke and mirrors. It's all very gaslighty. And let me define gaslighting for you as I see it, because it's helped when I've talked about gaslighting before when it comes to Neptune transits, and it's this idea that you suspect something is going on, you start to ask questions, and the people who are guilty or responsible, along with others, start to say, you seem so stressed, I'm concerned about your well-being. Oh, you seem paranoid. Whereas at the same time, they're doing things behind the surface or lying to you, and you are picking up on the deception, but you can't put your finger on where the danger is, and so it gets you spinning, right? But rather than get a truthful response, you get more deception. So that kind of energy. Now Venus, the Sun conjuncting Neptune is one thing, but then leading up to Venus conjuncting Neptune after the new moon, Venus is a planet of relationships and money. Now, if you find yourself in the lead up to last week meeting another person and falling in love, the key word here would be falling, totally connected with them and really wanting to go for it, by all means do so, but just keep a sense of vigilance around boundaries. You don't have to give them your wallet as well. Not yet. So there's just this delusional but highly mystical, connected, karmic connection to people, whether they're deceiving you or whether they are of merging interest, of love interest, of highly romantic interest, or even creative interest. There's a need over the next 4 weeks to start to clear these mists, and some of it will be done by setting boundaries, some of it will be done by going after whatever it is that you feel you need to go after, some of it is going to be done by protecting yourself. Some of it is going to be done by waiting for things to dissolve and starting to take certain actions and separating fantasy from fact. Fantasy from fact, dealing with the highly addictive, attractive, mystical quality to, you could even be drawn to people who are deceptive. It could sort of be that cobra mongoose thing, right? It's not just emerging, it doesn't have to be in a healthy realm, it could also be in an unhealthy realm, addicted to something, intoxicated by something, keep going back to something that you should be having boundaries around and be separating yourself from. There is a healing aspect to this. Whatever it is that is coming up that is associated with this Venus-Neptune conjunction and new moon may very well go back to 2015, 2016. This is why you come to my video, 2015, 2016, when the eclipses were in Pisces. And if that makes you go ding, 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 by all means, I'm not saying, if you are feeling that kind of knife in the back deceptive quality, or you're feeling completely enraptured by someone, maintain that level of, by all means, go for something, but maintain the level of inquisitiveness. If there's a red flag, or even if there's, don't lose yourself entirely in the fantasy of things, whether it is positive and intoxicating or even negative. Retain the ability over the next 4 weeks. The reason why the next 4 weeks could be healing, they don't have to be pleasant, but could be healing, is because you are being given an opportunity and an invitation to sort out the wheat from the chaff and put up appropriate boundaries as needed or necessary when you may have not had the opportunity to do so since 2015 and 2016. So in that regard, this is a welcome new moon. And when Mercury comes in here 2 or 3 days from now, even starting now, the communication around this is going to start. But also try and understand where it is that you want to engage in communication this Cobra Mongoose way, or in this highly attracted way. But if you feel like you're engaging with people who might be deceptive, know how to do so that you don't poke the bear, which would mean that rather than fight with them, which gives this process more energy and keeps it going, or rather than evade them completely and go underground, which will make them keep coming back. You could do something that is much more formal and still truthful, that says, I'll get back to you, this is what's going on with me, or I'm really busy, right? You can de-energize. What do you have to do within your own vibration to get yourself to a place so that you can feel free, so that you're only letting in the energies that feel right to you? The danger and the risk here is that there may be an addictive quality to the situation that keeps drawing you back. And maybe what you need to look at is where that attraction and that hold is. Because part of the challenge with Neptune is it's trying to get you to let go of something, may have to do with relationships or money, always really hard, because in a material realm, we may either need it or feel we need it or feel like we need to hold on to it, because that is a normal response. I want to be very clear about one thing. As much as under Neptune's guise, what is being lost or what you find out is lost may not be meant for you, and rejection may be God's protection, and it may actually be good for you in the long term to not possess it. If you feel like you need to fight for it or protect yourself, do so. Consult the appropriate professionals, if it's a legal professional, if it's law enforcement, if it's something else, if it's just your own protection, if you just need to sage yourself, if you just need to examine toxic, addictive, codependent situations to be able to disentangle them or be able to put up appropriate boundaries, or in certain cases pick up the phone or even communicate and just be like, what's going on here? Do I have this understanding? Not, don't give in to the gaslighting. Why are you asking this question? I'm really concerned about you. Is everything okay? It's like, answer the question, yes or no. If not, I will have to ask. Whatever that is, take the action, because it is through the action that you will actually be able to determine what is lost. Where is the danger? Is there a danger? How much is fantasy? How much is not? Because by this point in time, since 2015-16, you may well, because there are no facts available to you, because you are in the Neptune smoke and mirrors kind of area, things may have become a little bit overblown in terms of that kind of fantasy element. But I am not dismissing the deception. And that has been what has been so peculiar. I will grant any astrologer who is doing videos on this new moon, yes, there's a healing component to it, and yes, it's exalted, and yes, there's a dream love component to it and a romantic component to it. Be careful. Just enjoy the mystical union, whether it is with spirit or another person, by all means, but relationships and money and the connection between them, a contract being presented to you, I need you to be present. I need you to be looking at things and not lose your head. You can still welcome the opportunity, okay? The other transit that this new moon is highlighting and encoding for the next 4 weeks is a really fantastic one when it comes to meeting your goals. Mars trining Saturn. Now, this is a very 2020-2021 transit. So the deceptive energy goes back to 2015, 2016. And then there's the ability with Mars trining Saturn to really go after your goals and build a solid foundation to create a future in a direction that is, probably, and if you know your chart, this will be helpful to you, where Uranus is in Taurus, where Taurus sits in your chart is what is trying to develop and liberate and take you to the next step and create a quantum leap, but it's dependent on you availing of the endings and new beginnings in Aquarius and making sure that you act in karmically responsible ways. I've done videos on this, the past 4 or 5 videos, take a look at them, all the Aquarius activity, and to build a solid foundation in Aquarius. It's that solid foundation work and the new 12-year cycle that Jupiter is creating in Aquarius that will allow Uranus and Taurus to manifest and create what needs to be created. And Mars in Gemini is trining Saturn in Aquarius. So this Aquarius energy remains very active, that has been active. So where Aquarius is in your chart and all the buzzing that has happened in February and March, since January, February, March, and we know that since the end of last year, since the middle of December, Aquarius all of a sudden has become a really important sign. And this is why. And Pisces is the next sign from Aquarius. The new moon in Pisces is also in intense conversation with the Aquarius planets because the new moon in Pisces is ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces. We've already talked about it, and it is strong and powerful there. Jupiter is in Aquarius, ruled by Saturn, which is in Aquarius, Uranus, which is in Taurus. Uranus is ruled by Venus, which is in Pisces. So you have 3 ruling, dispositing planets. Neptune, powerful in its own sign, wanting you to lose something. Saturn in Aquarius, working diligently to create a discerning future where there is going to be very little tolerance for any behaviors that you are indulging in that are self-defeating or the path of least resistance. Building a real foundation where Aquarius sits. And then Jupiter, Uranus, and Venus are talking to each other in Aquarius, Taurus, and Pisces. So this Aquarian energy buildup that has now led to 4 planets at the time of the new moon, Venus, Neptune, the Sun, and the Moon in Pisces, there's a conversation that has been continuing here since the middle of December, escalating. And the Pisces new moon harkens back to the crises from 2015, 2016, but is also, while it is not directly involved in it, there's also an invitation, an urgent invitation to also work towards creating a stable, healthy, going towards your goals with Mars shooting those arrows future, and being careful of making decisions that are not putting you back in patterns and behaviors that you know you need to outgrow related to where Aquarius is in your chart. Because if you choose the path of least resistance, Saturn will keep presenting those to you as problems you need to solve, because those are areas where you need to grow. Okay, so 2 key transits important with this new moon in Pisces. Pisces season began about 3 weeks ago, so things have been brewing, time to take action, whether it is to sort out the wheat from the chaff or develop a healthier relationship with seemingly deceptive activities. Unless you're dealing with something highly spiritual, highly creative and artistic, romantic, if it's the rest of us dealing with crises, deceptive crises that go back to 2015 and 16, and developing a healthier relationship with and separating the wheat from the chaff and putting up the appropriate boundaries that need to be put up with, and being discerning about what is real and what is fake, and dealing with the real and contending with the lost and fighting for what you think is important, even if Neptune is seeking to dissolve it and it's good for you to lose it. In your fight towards it, you are going to be engaging and putting up the boundaries that will be necessary and helpful to you so you can get peace of mind. Okay? Because we're still living in 3D reality. So unless you're willing to chuck it up and wear a saffron robe and go into the Himalayas, you're going to need to contend with some of this energy, or you will go crazy, and it will distract you from building a stable foundation in future where Mars and Saturn are trying to create this. The issue with the trine with Mars and Saturn is that trines are easy and free-flowing, and they don't create a crisis, so we can miss them. So as Monday starts, next week starts, go after your goals as well that are future-oriented and are what you want. With Mars, there may be conflict. You may find that you have to challenge someone. You may find that you have to be in active conversation with someone. Do it. You will be given the ability to be able to do it in a relatively non-combative and hopefully logical way. And it may lead to you being able to more calmly than normal decide whether you are going to exit a relationship or an opportunity or stay in it and build it. Okay? But it will be future-oriented. I'm going to leave it at this. It's already 18 minutes, and I wanted to actually do this in 10 or 15, but I can't. There's a lot going on. One more thing. Forward movement since Mercury went direct. But the last new moon, Mercury was retrograde in Aquarius. This is the first new moon where Mercury is direct and all the planets are direct. So this forward movement that I've been telling you about in March and April and part of May starts this week. Go for it. If you like this video, found it useful, share it, like it, subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button to be notified when I do new videos. Hopefully I'll be able to upload this. We'll see. And my contact information is in the description area. So if you want to inquire about rates for readings or want me to make an easy-to-read version of your chart that tells you which signs are in which houses, just let me know. And I'll send you the rates for it, and you can determine whether you want to move forward or not. Okay, over and out.